So you're probably wondering how much this stuff makes it onto my YouTube channel that I talk about here. Sometimes I'll talk through, and then I'll start talking about stuff that's personal, and then I'll go, okay, well, this is something that's not going up on YouTube. Um, that stuff like that happens all the time, and so it's kind of like, I would say half of the stuff that I talk up into a video ends up on YouTube. You're probably seeing all this dander coming off of my nose. Ugly old me, you know. Everybody got ugliness. Some people are presentable, some people are not. But I mean, how of all the celebrities out there, how many people have dander on them? You know, how many of them go to the bathroom? And now you probably know the reason why people tend to hold them to a godlike status is they always look perfect and everything like that. But what you don't see is that a lot goes into selecting the words that they say. A lot goes into the way they look. They have makeup artists. They never look human. They look like plastic. And they never bite their lip. They don't have cuts in their lip. They don't have imperfections. And that's probably the reason why people have such a um, biased view of of present of presentability, you know, the of beauty and things like that. And I can't really fault them because I get one of the most personal kind of of video content, and it is not the kind that Christians should be looking at. But I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't pursue women, and I don't have sex. I masturbate, but I don't have sex. That means sex assumes you have it with somebody else. And I watch VR porn. And the way I see it is it the only best thing that could come out of it um, is it makes you feel like you're there, and you come pretty close to looking at people of different racial, I mean, features, different races. And there's one porn video I love. It's of five black women planning a marriage ceremony, and they decide they're going to have their bachelorette party with you. And so you end up having sex with five black women. And I love that video. Um, and you'll find the video if you look it up on a VR porn site. Um, I have another one that's like that. That's with a Hispanic lady, a Hispanic girl. One girl I think might be German, another Dutch, and then there's this, um, I think, Irish girl. I've also liked the Czechoslovakians VR. Um, it really doesn't matter. Pretty much, there's one girl in one VR video who is black, and she dresses up like like a a tribal lady, and she demeans you, and she says you don't know what it's like. Don't pretend, and then she starts to have sex with you, and I was like, wow, she's this is like really good acting she's doing here, and because I've seen her in other videos, and they're really starting to experiment with the art of using the VR camera. So the thing is that while some people are stopped, they can't talk about porn, they can't get past the idea of porn, they can't really understand that porn does have its functions and its capabilities in the world. It's a social stigma that we can't talk about porn. It's a social stigma that we can't talk about the systemic racism that's in our culture. People just don't want to talk about things like that. Some people are shocked by that stuff. But the thing is that all God objected to was, God didn't object to sex. God objected to sexual immorality. And so I guess that would mean anything that was outside of the missionary position. Missionary's natural. That is, you're face to face with a woman and you're having sex and the penis is going in the right place. It's all the other stuff that would be sexually immoral. Okay? So, and it says if you look at a woman in lust, that assumes that you're looking at the woman directly. That means you're kind of like a voyeur looking through a window and she notices you. You're looking at her across the room in lust. She sees you doing that. You stare at her for long periods of time. It makes her feel strange. She might contact her husband if she's married or friends, and then you have a problem on your hands because that man may decide to beat you up. And other things come with that, like just making her feel odd, when you're doing that. But porn is a picture. And in those days, how much pornography did people have access to? And I would say pretty much none. If you were doing that, you were doing it with people that you could see and that could see you back. And it's practically impossible not to think of people, to dream about women that you've seen. And to even have a wet dream surrounding such women, because that does happen. So how can you be really concerned about everything whenever sin is just something you're going to do? You have limited perception. You have limited capability to control what your mind's going to wander off into. The thing that I kind of pride myself in is that I didn't go off and have sex with a woman who's married and ruin her family, which there are people out there that do that and think nothing of it. And it's a serious problem. It's what causes divorce. It's what ruins families. And part of the reason why I got involved in porn was so that wouldn't happen. Part of it was to avoid diseases. Part of it was that I just couldn't be satisfied that easily. And people would say, well, when you get married, I've got a problem called aphasia. It makes it really hard for me to interact with people. So just being around other people and interacting with them can be tiring to me. So if I was to get married, probably be to a deaf lady, and I would just learn how to sign, or to be a lady that could speak fast enough, or somebody that would require a whole lot of attention, or somebody could afford to hear me just blab on and on about everything. But I I guess the thing is that when I really get to feel lonely and I can't bear it anymore, I might go and look for somebody. But I've been alone much of my life, and this is kind of this and the video game and talking to people socially in the video game. Those things can pretty much satisfy my need to be around others. There are some people that are like nomads. They just go out. They can be on a farm or someplace, be alone in a camper out in the middle of the desert and not have any contact with anybody. Just watch the TV and be okay. You know, but it's being isolated is not something that everybody can do, and it's hard to exist alone without having any kind of interaction with somebody, because one of the things you might start doing is start criticizing yourself. And I do that a lot, but I do it even more whenever I've been alone for long periods of time. And that happened to me whenever my brother separated me from my father, and my father lived in a assisted living and had me living in an apartment by myself for 5 years. I really just I withered away. I really kind of you know couldn't make sense of myself, and now I'm kind of in the same situation, but I've got money coming in, and so it makes it a lot easier for me. But still, I have to put my videos up on YouTube. I have to go and play a game, or I have to do something. But I've never been involved in social groups, and I've never gone and volunteered. I mean, I volunteered in places, but not for long periods of time. And it's kind of strange. I need people, but I sometimes I just don't. And but though porn is a kind of a very social stigma in our society, in that it's also of Christians, I don't think I think I don't think it has the kind of effect people think it's having. It is to men who are taking it seriously. I would say to such men that a lot of that stuff women are not going to perform unless they're really trying to satisfy you. And it really is just presented as pleasurable to them, but it's bullshit. A lot of the stuff in the porn is bullshit. It's it's all fantasy, and it's fantasy that's been drawn out too far to the point to where it's practically destructive. I was watching somebody on YouTube say that there's a serious problem in marriages and relationships where women are being starved of touch, and is that anytime a man touches a woman in a relationship, it implies that he's going to start having sex with her. And men can't simply touch their lovers without, just touch their lovers occasionally, just, kind of say, I love you, hug you, without it turning into sex. And that there's a serious problem there. I really do like seeing such points of views on videos, on YouTube. And when they come up into my feed and I get to explore some issue. And I don't know where this stuff comes from. But, you know, maybe they've developed artificial intelligent beings to the artificial intelligent um, things or bots to the point to where they're actually analyzing what we're talking about in our videos, because certainly they can turn it into text, and from that are able to develop some idea of who we need to be watching. It's really funny how it works. And sometimes things that would seem like coincidence are so blatant that they can't possibly be a coincidence, that it has to be somehow that I'm being eavesdropped on. And, you know, it's completely possible. You can do that with cookies. What a cookie is it's an identifier that sits on your browser. And it's kind of like knowing the name of the person without knowing the name of the person. It's like being able to identify that browser that's browsing the web page. And every web page that's able to access that identifier can attribute information, can attribute events, it can attribute anything with that identifier, and it will develop a perspective on you, on what you see, and then that will determine what kind of advertisements you get when you go to certain sites, or even what kind of choices YouTube or Facebook or any of those guys will give you when you're looking at your feed. It will inform how they will shape the information that you will see. That's the problem with cookies. It can be an advantage, and it can work for you or against you. It depends upon, but you have to keep wary of it. And if you don't like that happening to you, use you can use browsers or add-ons that will prevent those cookies from getting transmitted. But the challenge here is to try to keep you from being identifiable while at the same time being able to remain logged in. Because to when you log into a service, you're going to have a cookie. The question is how many services get access to that cookie? Can one cookie be accessed by multiple services? Other things can happen, like you use a web page from one service, and in that page there is a subunit that is created by a different service, and somehow that subunit can have access to the cookie that's on your browser, then communicate who it was. Communicate the information that it collected about you to the other service that is identifying you as the same entity that it's accessing. So it's like each person you come in contact, or each website you come in contact, has a little blackboard where they're just filling out information. That happens with your telephone number. Whenever you interact with a credit card company, they look at your caller ID, and they have a database that is associated, database records are associated with that telephone number. And so they can call up all your past history and what your name is and all your preferences, and possibly anything that was collected by websites that you used in association with that number. Like my telephone company might get access to my grocery store, which will use my telephone number as an identifier, and what I bought in the grocery store might be presented to the person I'm getting yeah, my insurance or whatever, baking help, or and then they'll say, hey, I see you like such and such. You like a coupon on that, and you're like, okay, how do you get that information? Because these companies that collect information on you, they sell it to other companies, and they've got to have like a little piece of legalese that you okay that will give them the capacity or ability to go and do that. Most people don't care about it. You'll care when things start you start things start happening to you that make you go, wow, these people know me, and I've never met them before in my life, and that's whenever you start to lose your innocence. You lose your stranger status. And with this YouTube, I just put it all out there, because one of the problems with the internet is that there's a lack of accountability. There are a lot of people that feel vulnerable, and that's the reason why they're not accountable. Accountability means that you give more information, give enough information that people can identify you and know something about you. When I play Planet Side 2, there will be people that, like the other day, was asking me a question. It says, "Are you bald?" And I was like, "You know perfectly well I'm bald. You've seen my video channel." You know, they put out all these things that like they're discovering something about you, but when they completely know. And then I put something out there. I said, "You realize my father was bald before he was 30, and my mother got gray hair when she was 14. So I was bald and gray before I was even old. And now I'm old. It's normal. But I don't care about being bald anymore. I lost that back when I was in my 20s. And it wasn't even really a problem back then. It wasn't like I was trying to get my hair back. So that kind of activity, that whenever you're talking to somebody in a platform like that, um, what I call trolls are the people that do stuff like that. They're trying to pick off pieces of your character until they can find something that you feel concerned about. And if you can play it up and say, make it seem like it isn't important, or play it or turn it on its ear, then it really confuses them, because then they realize they're not getting anywhere with it. And sometimes they do get somewhere with it with me. And how I usually respond to that is by doing a command on them that makes it so that I can't see their messages anymore. Sometimes when I do that, it's also because I'm getting kind of bored by the stupid crap they keep saying. That is really just aimed at character assassination. Character assassination means you make fun of someone and you try to find something that they respond to, and then you 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 attribute to their character things that they prefer, that you think that they would prefer not to hear. A lot of this character assassination I get from hecklers more laughable than hurting. A few things hurt me, and I might justify my case the reason why I'm not employed, but it doesn't particularly hurt me because I'm earning enough money now. Being unemployed, I'm practically retired, but someday that could change, and then I would be more vulnerable, possibly vulnerable to stuff that was put up on YouTube. But how many people are going to divulge as much as I have about myself and about my thoughts? And you can have an opinion about me because I get put it out there, but who's going to have an opinion about you? And when people finally do get to know you, how okay will they be with you? I mean, did they see it coming? You know, and I have a feeling that if people like me, then there's probably not so much of a problem with me revealing more about what I think and how I perform as a singer. but I really don't care to be a singer that much. It's that it doesn't challenge me, because singing doesn't challenge me. And even if I was to try to become more perfect and use autotune and write music and stuff, I don't see the music industry as one that particularly is fruitful. I mean, and really, what would I get from it? I mean, how much millions of dollars? And if I had that millions of dollars, would I be, would people come out of the woodwork? Would I lose my capacity to be an individual and have some privacy? You know, that's the big problem I have with having a great viewership, a lot of subscribers, is the loss of privacy. But it hasn't happened to me yet. It's seems, and the comments that people leave don't seem to be, there does not seem to be very much depth to them, which makes me believe that they can't possibly be real. And even if they were real, it just doesn't interest me that much to really know the people that watch my videos. And that's kind of, I think, the way a lot of celebrities are, is that it would be too taxing for them to really know how much you like them. Um, so the best thing you could really do with a celebrity, and would be preferable to them, is that you just not even show up to ask for the autograph. For some, yes. For some, no. But depends on their popularity level, I guess. And there's some that just naturally produce music or naturally produce good acting that would prefer not to have any connection to the fan base, you know, because for them it's a career move. It's not, they didn't get in it for the fame. They got in it for the money and the because it was something they could do. And I don't consider myself to be a good singer. I consider myself to be somebody who has a tape recorder playing in the back of my mind that can just try to sing with the person that's in the tape recording, because that's kind of what I do. If I didn't have that tape recorder, I probably wouldn't be able to sing anything. And for some reason, I can remember the words, but I don't really understand why. And sometimes the words are wrong, but I don't particularly care about doing them right either. You know. Well, I've talked long enough, and my throat's getting dry. I think this will probably be the last I'll talk about today. Part of the reason why I'm really chatty is because I got off. That's what happens whenever your brain gets filled with dopamine. You get super chatty. There's a video from a lady named Storm called "Alive." What a great day to be alive, and wide awake. In parentheses, her name is Storm, and she says, "Do you want to be? Do you feel like you're the wallflower? Do you want to be? Uh, do you want to be the center of attention, to sound witty and wise? Well, you need cocaine, because when you're on cocaine, uh, you feel like you feel um, informed and wise and blah 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 blah." And what I believe is what happens with dopamine is it makes it easy to talk about anything, because you got this sense of well-being, and you don't question what you talk about. Um, you feel comfortable regardless. And so if you're an entertainer, and you probably, or if you've got favorite entertainers and you wonder why they might take a drug, there's one of two reasons I can think of. One, they're looking for a privacy. They're looking for a private experience, and so They're looking for a vacation where the paparazzi aren't. Or they're looking to be comfortable. They're they probably realize the only time they're good entertainers is when they're on cocaine. And then they start having a problem with the drug. In the case of Stevie Nicks, she was told to stop taking cocaine because it was burning a hole in her uh, in the septum or the part of her nose, and that she would probably bleed to death if she took more cocaine. I had heard that. I don't know if that was her or if that was somebody else. I was pretty sure that was her. So, and the Go-Go's, they all took drugs. That was a big part of their band. Their keyboardist was taking heroin, and she was on it, and they were trying to get her off of it. But they also used psychedelics and other kinds of drugs. That they'd use pretty much everything for them. I guess this is a girl thing, a girl punk rocker thing to do a lot of drugs. I don't know how many women do drugs and how much of it is normal to them, but that was the thing I found kind of surprising with the Go-Go's was that drugs were so much a part of what they were doing at the time. And I guess that's the case because whenever you get to be really popular, it's kind of hard to return to the way things were. And so you take drugs and then you start attacking each other and then you take more drugs. And it's your way of being comfortable in a life that is so stressful and demanding. So